So in my last video, someone asked me like, yo, Sky Money, why you always wear a beanie? Short answer, 1, cause I'm a house, and 2, because ain't nothing under that but another one. So the holidays are here, and you're thinking Insta360 Go2 or Dji Action 2. Which one should you get? My ninja, trust me, I've been there. Your boy Sky Money didn't wake up a boss. If you didn't know, that's what a Dutch ambulance looks like. Hope everybody's okay though. We're gonna do 5 for 5. We ain't talking about no pros. 5 cons for the Dji Action 2 and 5 cons for the Insta360 Go2. And now, don't get me wrong, we're not haters. Our hood will never let us be haters. But Sky Money, if you ain't a hater, why are you only talking about the cons? Well, glad you asked, pimp, because I'm a thug. And I got y'all back. We all kind of know all the great things about these cameras, especially with the Insta360 Go2. Like, they're going hard in the paint. They like buying up creators left and right. So, oh, that looks so good. I mean, I don't really need a blanket, but I mean, it definitely helps. Ooh, man, perfect timing too, because it just started raining. Like, for real. All right, so the Dji Action 2 or the Insta360 Go2. Now, I will go on the record and say that both cameras are extremely good, like both of them, but they do have some weaknesses. And now, again, I will go on the record and say no one sent me these cameras. I paid for it with my own monies, and no one is telling me what to say because you know how thugs do. So yeah, ain't nobody telling me what to say about nothing. And now with that said, let's get into the 5 biggest cons for both of these cameras. I do like both cameras, like both of them are pretty good. But I'm thinking about you guys first, pimp. If you could only buy one, which one should it be? So that's why we're doing a diss track. Starting with the Dji Action 2. Now, the first con has to be the price. The battery combo going for about $399, and to be real, I think that's actually a fair price. For the simple fact that the GoPro alone is over $500. But now, when it comes to the dual screen module, that is overpriced. $519 for this is a bit steep, in my opinion. I do think that is overpriced. I mean, I get that it's OLED screen and all that, but for the most, that $519, come on, God, that is overpriced. So if you do pick it up, save yourself some money, and just get the battery combo, $399, that is a good price. The next con has to be, there's no way to control exposure. All the GoPros, as well as the Dji Action 1, you can actually tap to expose. And I don't know why they didn't add it with this camera. It would have been amazing to have that feature with this camera, especially considering that the skies are usually overexposed. And now you can do a minus EV, but you know, that's just something else that you gotta do. So yeah, not being able to tap to expose is a con. I like having some kind of control. For example, with the GoPro Hero 10, you can tap to expose as well as you can change the sharpness. And I think that those 2 options are like really good options to have on an action camera. But I mean, that's just me. And then the next con is there is no removable front lens cover. Now, that really sucks. Like, I still remember when GoPro came out with the Hero 8 and it dropped the whole removable lens cover. It was terrible. The camera wasn't already that good, and then just to top it off, you couldn't even replace the lens cover if something happened. So that is a con for me. You can put a screen protector on it, but yeah, you know, that's just something else you gotta buy. And then we have no horizon leveling at 4K. That would have been a great add if they could have done it. But instead, we only have horizon leveling at 2.7K 60. And then lastly, I would have to say it feels a bit delicate, even though it also feels rugged, but feels like a cell phone rugged. You know, I don't want to drop my iPhone 13 Pro, and I feel the same way about this, and this is supposed to be an action camera. And to be real, I'm not sure if I want to like take that risk, you know? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a boss all day, every day, but $500? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like very careful when handling the Dji Action 2, and I feel like I shouldn't have to be. Now we gotta keep the diss track going because we're moving on to the Insta360 Go2. 5 cons that are actually, you know, let's just get into it. And now the first one for me has to be that there is no SD card slot on this thing. Not in the camera as well as the carrying case. There is no SD card slot. And when this thing first came out, that was like one of the biggest complaints. You should have had an SD card slot. And now don't get me wrong, 32 gigs is plenty, at least for me and the way that I shoot. And then it came out with another version that's 64 gigs of storage. Definitely 64 gigs of storage is plenty. But having an SD card slot would have been boss. Like, that is one of the biggest pros of the Dji Action 2 is the SD card slot, and for the simple fact you can connect it to your computer and access both the internal and SD card memory. Oh snap, they rolling deep. Dang, feds be watching, man. It was like 6 of them. Also, not for nothing, everybody up in my grill right now. Jeez. But yeah, having no option to add extra storage is kind of a killer for the Insta360 Go2. And now the next con is the price. No matter what anybody says, I think that this thing was overpriced from the beginning. $299 is too much money. For an extra $50, you can get a Pocket 2, which will just blow this camera out of the water. I get the size, I get the form factor, I get all of that. But $300 is too much, especially when you consider the first one was only $200. $300 is too much. And now don't get me wrong, it could be due to, predicted inflation, but yeah, $300 was, it was kind of, that was like one of the main reasons I didn't pick it up right away. And now the camera is currently on sale at like $260, two something, and that is a really good price. Someone also left in the comments that they picked up theirs used at B&H for about 100, I believe they said 185. That's a steal. Moving on to the next con though, and that is image quality. Now, to be real though, I was shocked at how good it looked after all these updates. But on the other hand, you look at some of this footage, like a lot of the footage I didn't even use. A lot of, it was just so bad. And then don't even get me started on the low light footage. Like, all of that was just it was just a waste of time. Like, I just don't see the appeal of the oil painting glamour modes in these cameras. I just don't, it's just not for me. And then what makes it worse is that you cannot really view what you shot after you shot it. You have no way of playing it back unless you use your cell phone. But the cell phone isn't accurate, so that means you would have to transfer the footage and process the footage, which we will get to in a minute. So yes, definitely the image quality is a con for me. I would say out of all the footage I've shot, I would say maybe 40% of it is actually really good. The rest, yeah, and then out of all the low light footage I shot, I would say 90% of it was terrible. I felt so bad, I didn't even want to put it in the video. I spent like an hour shooting and I had to scrap the entire part of the low light test because it just looked so bad. If you're outdoors and it's a sunny day, it can look amazing. But if you are inside or if it's night, I would not use this camera. And then the next con would have to be for the Insta360 Go2 is the simple fact that you'll need another camera. Like, there is no way around it. Like, this is not a camera that you could just have on its own. You have to pair this camera with something else. The Insta360 Go2 and the GoPro Hero 10, that's a good combination. Insta360 Go2 and the DJI Pocket 2, great combination. But you kind of have to have another camera with this one. While on the other hand, like, you could literally get away with only the DJI Action 2. The colors are way more realistic and it shoots more like a real camera. It operates more like a real camera. You could be fine if you just had this. Same with the GoPro, same with the Pocket cameras. You will be fine if you just had those cameras. But it's not the same with this one. You need something else. I mean, it's just not a one-stop shop. Especially if you want to shoot indoors, you got to use something else. The quality is not that great. I mean, guys, you saw it. Opening scene, I mean, if we being real, it was not good. And to be real, I cut all the other indoor scenes just because they all look the same. So I was like, nope. Aw, I like your stroller. Yeah. Oh, man, I love the people. You don't know, we thug. We gotta get back in thug mode. But moving on to the last con, and that has to be the workflow and like just transferring the files to your computer to edit with. And now this is something that a lot of reviewers tend to just skip over in these sponsored videos. Transfer time for the Insta360 Go2 is ridiculous. Like it is such a turnoff. Like, you go do all this amazing shooting and you get home and you gotta wait like 45 minutes. That is crazy to me. We're about to hit 2022 and we're waiting 45 minutes to transfer 27 gigs of 1440p footage. Like, am I the only one that finds something wrong with that? I see some of these reviewers complaining about the transfer speed transferring from the internal footage to the SD card slot on the DJI Action 2, which, yeah, it takes about 20 minutes, and that's for 22 gigs of like 4K footage. And with the new update, I think it was like 17 or like 15 minutes. That is not nearly as bad as 45 minutes for 27 gigs of 1440p footage. That is the biggest killer of the Insta360 Go2 is the workflow. 45 minutes is a long time to be waiting just to get the footage and put it into the editing software. And now with all that said, I will go on the record and say I have not experienced any overheating with either of these cameras. I know that is a big topic still going on today, but I just have not experienced that. And that's just using it like a regular person would use it. But yeah, I stand by that. I haven't had any overheating issues. Man, it's cold. Whew. And now with that said, I do think both cameras are pretty good still. Like I still enjoy using them. They're really fun to use. And that magnet game, strong. Oh, and another thing I did not bring up as a con is the fact that these aren't completely waterproof, because I think it makes sense. To me, I think it makes sense not to have them completely waterproof. You don't need the whole system to be waterproof. And they both last a pretty long time on their own. So yeah, that's why that is not a con for me. But Pimp, what do you guys think about these cons that I laid out for you? I laid out all the worst of these cameras for you guys. But what do you guys think? And also, if you had to choose one, which one would you choose and why? And then if I missed anything that's like a major deal breaker for you with any of these cameras, leave it in the comments down below. Like, I like both of these cameras, but they got some problems. Yo, they give out blankets and everything. Like, that's amazing. Don't get it twisted. Thugs use blankets too, okay? Shoot.